Everyone, welcome to the fourth session that we are delivering Resiliency 2.0. 100 or more than 100 people registered for our event. We gave them a few minutes to join us. We only have around 30 people, but I'm sure that they will catch up anytime soon. And we do have some friends or members of my personal Facebook and LinkedIn and the professional network who are joining us today. I can also see some new names, and that's good because that means that our webinar promos and ads are really reaching more and more people as intended. You can now see that we're sharing on the screen the list of courses that we have been offering for organizations and companies as free 1-hour webinars. So if your company has not yet had a chance to have an exclusive webinar from us, please talk to your HR leaders or to your manager and senior management to call us and contact us and choose one from among the so many topics here, so we can deliver it to 20, let's say a maximum of 30 employees, exclusive for your company. And this is what we have been doing for the past 2 weeks. And this Resiliency 2.0 webinar, this topic has been one of the most requested ones. And we are very proud and privileged at the same time to be reaching out to people to provide not just education and information, but continued inspiration during these trying times of COVID. Let's now focus on the subject matter for today so that you know that you are in the right live room. Resiliency 2.0, staying strong and not just surviving, but succeeding through this pandemic, this crisis, this indeed life-changing event. Okay. For those who may not know us yet, we are a training company based in Makati City. We go by 4 letters, LJMB, which also are my personal initials. I registered this in 2005. I gave it a meaning, learning just made better. And we are now a 15-year-old provider of training solutions to different organizations. Your resource person today, this morning, is Louis Banta. Here at your service, I lead a team of about 16 people in LJMB, and here are numbers that represent our professional expertise and experience. Also proud that we have gone around and trained in 9 countries across 4 continents and regions, and it's really a showcase of how great and global Filipino talent could be, showing you the different organizations that we trained all around. And please do continue to follow us at our Facebook page at LJMB Training, where we will post announcements of free webinars. We've been busy in the past 2 weeks offering those 1-hour free webinars to different companies. But we started April 1, April 2, April 3, giving free sessions to a lot of leaders and employees from different companies. And we started with these first 3 topics that you can see on the screen. It was very critical at that time when the lockdown was announced that we impart information and guidance to leaders on how they can really navigate with their teams through this COVID crisis. Then we proceeded to talking about giving tips on leading work from home or remote teams, because we were suddenly thrust into this setup and we don't know what to do. 5 days and 8 hours a day, we have to work from home without that physical touch and physical presence of our peers. And since the only medium of communication would be through teleconferencing and video conferencing, which might also be something new to some of us, we deemed it appropriate to provide some help on that area. And these 3 courses gave birth to more and more topics that we have provided to different companies. And in the next remaining time that I have, 45 to 50 minutes, will zero in on something that does not know limitations in terms of gender, in terms of nationality, in terms of position title, because all of us, especially during these times, we have our own struggles. And indeed, it is resiliency that will really make us see through this crisis. Resiliency 2.0. Our two major topics will be the three characteristics of resilience or resiliency. And then we'll jump to the 8 ways by which we can view and frame this crisis so we can have a positive mindset that will really strengthen our resolve to go through whatever you have been going through in the past 7 weeks. So given these two blocks, maybe I'll spend around 5 to 10 minutes for an introduction, and then spend about 10 to 15 minutes on the characteristics of resilient people and resilient organizations. Then we'll jump to the 8 ways of framing the crisis. Why resiliency 2.0? Because we have been through resiliency 1.0 or version 1. Those will refer to the previous challenges that we have been experiencing since our year 1. And let's start by acknowledging that when you were studying, some of you may be fresh from college or may just be in your first or second year of employment. You still remember those times when your resiliency was tested because you needed to pass exams. And some of you with licensure exams to achieve your degrees, it was really a grueling experience, I can imagine, back in those days. Then we proceeded to getting a job, and now career realities and hurdles are the things that we have to face. Then some of us decided to marry and proceed to familyhood. That's an entirely different challenge in itself. And I would link finances here beside the family or with family, because as you all know, one of the hot topics that spouses and partners often talk about will be budgeting and sharing of expenses. And for some of us who went into entrepreneurship, who built your own businesses, or who moved up in higher levels of management, we got faced with different kinds of work and business realities. Working with the political dynamics of your companies, yes? Or if you are a businessman, the profit and loss that you always think about, that makes you keep awake at night. And of course, some people issues that would go along the way if you're a people manager or you are also owning a business. And recently, there's been this concern on mental health. And of course, people have been focusing on physical fitness. But we all know that anybody can really be hit by any sickness. And such is the case in this Challenge 2.0. COVID-19 is really something different. We've been so used to being resilient. We opened the year with the 2020 Taal volcano eruption. What a way to welcome 2020. But we got used to it, and in a few days and weeks, communities rebuilt, and life in Tagaytay, Cavite, Batangas went back to normal. If I'm just to backtrack a few years ago, let's go to 2013, and I apologize if this brings harrowing memories of what happened to our brothers and sisters down south. You would remember the destruction that Typhoon Haiyan or Yolanda brought to a lot of towns in Visayas area, particularly Tacloban. And 2 years earlier, going outside of the Philippines, you would remember the earthquake and followed by the tsunami that also destroyed coastal lines and coastal communities in Japan. We'd like to prove Filipinos, or the human species in general, is a very resilient organism and community. But COVID, we have not seen anything like this before. A whole new level of challenge, a whole new level of hurdle. Life-changing, unprecedented, as how it's described by different experts, because it is complicated, it is intertwined crisis of a different magnitude and scope. It started as a medical emergency, and because of the fast spread and rising infections and death rates, even as we speak, I believe that in the Philippines, in the past few days, we've already breached the 10,000 mark in terms of infections. So the economy is already affected. We've been in lockdown for the past 7 weeks. Nobody's out. Nobody's reporting to the factories. No supply. Supply chain is affected. Nobody's out. Nobody's reporting for work. Service establishments are affected as well. Nobody's out. Nobody's spending. GDP, gross domestic product, is affected. And when you have 2 quarters of GDP at negative levels, what do you have? You have a recession. And almost no country is exempted. You may have heard that in Sweden, maybe Sweden is the only country in the world that is not into lockdown. They're doing it with their own precautionary measures. But a lot of countries, notably North America, the US is hardly hit, and in Europe, the developing nations were even the first ones to really be affected. That's why, wow, we really need to strengthen our resolve, muster all the psychic resources that we have to really stay strong, especially with the effects of COVID on most of the global population. COVID-19, nobody is exempted, brought upon us duwa: disruption, uncertainty, anxiety. You can all relate. And you can associate different feelings with each of these impact or effects. Disruption, in the Philippines, we've heard that there is a lockdown to be implemented on a Thursday. That was March 12th. I can't forget that day. And people were scrambling to go home, go back to their provinces before Sunday, the implementation of the lockdown. And then that Monday, March 16, everybody started working from home without experience, maybe without guidelines, without specific answers to questions on how are we going to make this work. The disruption, you look around us, we're stuck at home, we can't go out. Perfect summer sun, which we should be enjoying by the beach. You must have looked forward to your summer outings. We're all saying goodbye to that for the meantime, at least for 2020. Your weekend routines with your family, your hobbies, worship, all have to be stopped and paralyzed in the name of flattening the curve, the only solution for us to go back to a certain normal, flattening the curve. So just doing my social responsibility here to remind everybody, stay at home and stay safe, because this is not going to end. You must have heard of news reports that our lawmakers are already discussing the possibility that May 15 be extended to June 15. And it's creating a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions that people are asking, when, until when, what will we do, will our jobs be affected? Entrepreneurs, especially small, medium businesses like mine, were hardest hit because of our cash flow. And everyone else would have their own personal concerns. Some are thinking about their career goals. and they lost a lot of time this year. Some are thinking at the macro level what is going to happen at the country level, at the political level. And I'd like to acknowledge that everybody's struggling. You may have a different struggle compared to your other members of the household. So we in the LJMB team, we just hope and pray that you really keep safe and healthy. When I say safe and healthy, as in physically and even mentally safe. And add fear to uncertainty is anxiety. That worry that keeps you awake at night, just like me. As I said, SMEs are hardest hit. I own a team of 17 people. We were on a growth trajectory for the past 4 years. And we really have bookings and engagements March, April, May onwards, all wiped out because people can't go out. How can we deliver our training services in person? So as I speak to you about resiliency today, it's not a theoretical discussion that I'd like to share, but I come here before you as somebody leading a team who's also struggling with all of this and who continuously tries to stay resilient. Now we've tripled our audience base for this morning. We started with close to 30 people earlier. Now we're close to around 80 people. And thank you for those who just joined us. And let's continue with our discussion. A key point that I'd like to make here is these are times when it's really important to get as much support that we can from people around us. I'd say best to get support from your loved ones, from your family members. So it's time to really avoid a lot of conflict situations or easily face and resolve them with right communication. Because we are in this together, we really should go through this together. So get a lot of support from your network, your professional network. If you're a leader or a manager, you should be providing clarity and guidance and inspiration, no matter how tough your company situation is. If you are an employee, please spread motivation, positive vibes among your peers. And if you're work from home, or if you're staying, if you're not preoccupied with anything right now, just make sure that you're able to watch over your family members or relatives, and keeping spirits light and fun, while at the same time encouraging everybody in the house to really focus on what matters most: health and safety. But resiliency really comes very handy and very crucial when, what if we cannot depend on anybody else for support, guidance, and inspiration? What if you look up to your boss or your manager, and sometimes we can't get that level of motivation that we want because they themselves are also struggling through this crisis. Your spouse, partner, your family members may also be very frustrated. They may have their own concerns and may not always be in a good mood to have a conversation that you want. In these cases, when you can only rely on yourself, resiliency is what you will hold on to. Defined simply as the ability to bounce back from challenges in life, bouncing back and coming out stronger, coming out faster, coming out better, coming out more effective, more efficient, well rested, and prepared to face the challenges when all of this COVID-related craziness and chaos has ended. My dear 83 members of the audience now, are you ready to bounce back? Are you getting ready to bounce back? Because as Zig Ziglar would also say, it's not how low you'd fall and how many times you'd fall. What matters is how high you can even bounce back. And how high you bounce back is our symbol, our figure of speech for what are you going to achieve after this lockdown? How are you preparing to be a more effective employee and contributor to your respective teams and organizations? And if you're a leader or a manager, how are you spending your time during this lockdown to upgrade your skills, upgrade your soft skills, upgrade your communication skills, on work on certain facets of your personality that can make you a great leader, such as adversity quotient or emotional quotient. We all need to be preparing to bounce back higher. And mentioning that we're hardest hit, we're one of the most hardest hit by this pandemic because of cash flow as compared to big companies and big conglomerates who have very deep pockets. As you may have heard, other small businesses in the service arena have already closed, or some have laid off employees. Airlines have laid off hundreds because travel has to go to low or zero demand. And the LJMB team, as you can see here, with the coronavirus at the background, we felt it, and then very quickly a story of the LJMB team reacting, responding to all of this. As early as January, having that foresight and doing that risk assessment, we have to withdraw from our training commitments to be conducted in Sri Lanka and Hong Kong. We're supposed to run 2 top management workshops, one in Sri Lanka and one in Hong Kong. But following the news of the developments of the Wuhan virus at the global scale, I said that we can't risk it, so let's politely decline. And while during that time, life is business as usual in the Philippines, went on people just acting like the virus is miles away, it will not affect us. Then March, first weekend of March, I remember that's March 7, we heard of the first employee in BGC affected or afflicted with the virus. And then the following week, the numbers were increasing. That led to our government declaring a lockdown on Thursday, the lockdown happening on a Sunday, March 15. And that week was also very crazy because it led to cancellations of around 18 training days. And for those of you in the training business, this is a lot of money. And in the following weeks, our engagements and bookings for May, April, and May were also indefinitely postponed. A lot of companies are in wait-and-see mode and wanted to wait until the lockdown is lifted before we resume with our training operations. What compounded matters was that on March 11, which is Wednesday, one of our employees called in sick. I can't go to work. I'd like to file for a leave. I have fever. And another aspect of resiliency here is the ability to act urgently. And we all thought in the ManCom, in our leadership team, what if it's COVID? So we called people while they were on transit, on their way to work, asked them to go back home and just work from home. Those early birds who were in the office, we have to ask them to vacate the office for safety reasons, because what if this person was with us the previous day? If the office is infected, then we have to do something about it. We had a disinfection of the office same day and in the next 2 days. The ability to act quickly is a hallmark characteristic of resilience. It was really crazy. We're trying to figure out how to work from home, what technology tools to depend on. We are setting up guidelines and rules. People were asking, my work depended on equipment in the office. So how is it going to be? And the good thing is that with of course, continued collaboration of leaders in the team and with the continued malasakit of our teammates, that next week, that following week, your first week in the lockdown, we're already normalizing. And it's already time for us to look at our cost reduction options, because the organization, the business, also has to be resilient. And delivering the bad news with a lot of transparency and clarity, we talked to our employees on March 24, and that meant that effective April 1, everyone in the LJMB team reported on a reduced working days format. And I also have to lead the sacrifices that my team members matched given our company situation. What a true case of resiliency. We just did not have financial loss. We are also affected emotionally. A lot of my team members have families. That's why it's important that we reconnect on a daily basis during the lockdown, because we need to focus on more productive things. Taking a screenshot here, showing a screenshot of my teammates in action, my man-com in our daily meetings. And I love to take screenshots of the different facial expressions of people in our video meetings and sending them, sharing them through Viber, because just seeing people during these times can also be that, provide that sense of connection with others. People that we're missing, friends at work that we are missing. And for all you know, a smiling face here in video calls is enough to change the mood or lighten what people are going through. So resiliency is the ability to bounce back, and crucial to that are keywords that you can also view on this slide. It's the ability to withstand the challenge. The right mindset is this challenge will not last forever. It will not last forever. It will end somehow, sometime, somewhere, somehow. We just don't know when. When the virus is the vaccine is developed, 18 months as the fastest possible time. It can, of course, extend, but that's the target, to be able to produce the vaccine in 18 months. So how can we withstand the effects, the disruption, until we really go back to a certain sense of normal? And I'm not saying go back to the old normal, because that will no longer happen. This virus has really changed our life, has changed the way we live, has changed we work, changed the way we work, changed the way we communicate. It has changed the way we access supplies. Okay? Has also made us reflect on a lot of things. We need to outlast this virus. What do we do? What will you do so you can outlast this virus as well? I will end with a topic on the 8 ways of framing the crisis related to our own thoughts. When there's nobody else that you can get motivation from, when there's nobody else that you can get social support, moral support from, then the only thing that you have are your own thoughts. And I know that some of you will say that you also have God with you. For our members of the audience who have that rich spiritual or religious life, we'll talk about that later as one of the 8 ways to frame the crisis. And it's not just the thoughts, it's also the behavior of adapting to what is happening around us. Are you adapting? Have you adapted well to this new work from home setup? Are you learning much? Attending webinars as well, listening to YouTube videos, reading articles, giving tips and techniques on how we can adapt to, let's say, staying stuck at home. Looking for a lot of ways to be productive at home. And productive is not just work related, but also in your relationship areas of life. And also physical, taking a lot of exercise, for protecting your mental health as well. Now let's introduce the 3 characteristics of resilient people. Number 1, they accept, understand, and embrace reality. And a lot of us are usually we, in times of difficulty, we want to stay positive and optimistic. But sometimes it gets into the way of truly accepting what's happening around us. So the question here is, you look around you, do you understand what's really happening? Do you know what's being asked from you? And are you willing to accept and embrace this new reality? And for some of the people that I speak to, what they miss are really going out, enjoying their usual Starbucks drink or milk tea. And maybe that's the reason why a lot of people have that urge to go out And a lot of us are concerned that we're not able to flatten the curve because a lot of our fellow Filipinos still violating quarantine or lockdown rules. Some of us want to label others as, ang nega mo naman. You're so negative. Why can't you be so optimistic or positive? I will not go into the semantics. I will not differentiate optimism and positivity. Okay? But for people who just want to think positive things but don't want to look at facts, figures, or listen to experts for expert opinion, what's the problem there is that they may distort our sense of reality and therefore lead to delayed action. It's just like two people who want to go out and somebody's looking ahead and looking at dark clouds and would say, why don't you bring an umbrella? It might rain. And the other party can say, pare, ang nega mo naman. Why do you think negative? But think positive that it will not rain. This is very powerful, I know. But one of the characteristics of resilient people is that they really look around, face the reality, and act accordingly. This virus crisis, I believe, could have been better managed if we acted early. If we just looked at the numbers and had that sense of urgency to control it. And that's the thing with Vietnam. Because as early as January, they already controlled entry of people coming from China to Vietnam territory. They implemented lockdown and quarantine rules as early as, I believe, first week of February. Because I think they were able to see up ahead, accepted the reality that it's going to affect them, and planned and prepared. Hope for the best, expect the worst. One of the things that is written in this book by Jim Collins, you also saw his photo in the previous slide, is Productive Paranoia. And introducing to you a man whose name doesn't need to appear here. He's so famous, we know him, Bill Gates, before the richest person on earth. He was interviewed in this book, and he would say that paranoid behavior, and I'm not referring to the mental terminology, the mental health terminology. Paranoid behavior, if channeled into extensive preparation and calm, clear-headed action, will actually make people prepared to face any challenge. And paranoid behavior here is simply asking, what if? What if something happens? Okay? What do we need to do? What other risks do we see? Such as us seeing ahead of time that if we go to our international travels for our training engagements, we might risk it. And we might bring the virus here. We can get infected. Hope for the best, but expect the worst. And citing what happened in our team, again, 17 people, that includes me. We went into a town hall meeting as early as March 24. We looked at our financial situation, and I have to answer the following questions that most of our employees are asking. Number one, until when will this crisis last? How long will we last if we have zero sales? Because our service is the easiest to really let go during times of any economic hardship. How can we survive if we don't have sales, and we have to depend, also accept the fact that we have collections out there? And last, how soon can we get or borrow money? For the first time in our existence at 15 years, I had to explore financing. And with transparency, answering these questions, even by saying we don't know, but we can just have some of our assumptions and predictions here. And covering the rest of the slide with confidential information with some emojis here. But the good thing is, during these times of crisis, what's really important is seeing the things up ahead, acting accordingly, and engaging people who need to be part of the communication and action. And when we decided to really cut on the working days, I have to also present the basis for that decision. Of course, I can go and make a positive decision based on a positive assumption that we will get sales during this pandemic. We can still collect millions out there, or get a loan. Or I can take this conservative stance that all of these things will not happen. And of course, the beauty of a decision will only be determined when the outcomes are there. And that's why decision making is an important skill to master, because you don't know what's going to happen. You can only assume, or you can also only estimate probabilities of success. And if these things happen, those with checks, you made the right decision. But what if you don't? That's what we need to prepare for. And I told my team, I don't want to decide on a positive or on optimistic way and then end up with a negative outcome, because that will be a false assurance to me and my team. And to entrepreneurs and leaders who are with me and your companies needed to communicate bad news, you can relate that you don't want making your people believe false hopes. We want to prepare and at least get lucky in the process. But as they say, people who apparently are lucky are the ones who are really prepared, have themselves ready for any type of eventuality. That led to Project Lifeline, our cost reduction measure announcement, the reduction of work days. And you know, with the extended lockdown, I'm sure that other organizations are now asking, how can we really outlast this crisis? So going back to the first characteristic of resilient people, while we accept and embrace reality, it's also important to accept and embrace negative feelings. I don't mean tolerating them, but acknowledging that people around us might be frustrated, might be sad, might feel a loss. We know of people who are in no work, no pay mode right now. Some might be affected by layoffs. I was speaking to seafarers the previous day, and some of them have extended contracts. They're at sea for an extended period. They can't go home, and they have their families here. And it's torture thinking about their families when you're miles apart. I know of people who, because of the lockdown and they have to remain in their jobs, they are billeted in hotels here in Metro Manila with their families in the provinces, and they haven't seen them in several weeks. So be kind to people whom you speak to. They don't know what they're struggling. It's not what they post in social media. Maybe they're not showing it. Maybe they're posting positive things, or they put up a positive face in your video calls. But we really don't know what people are struggling with. So it's important to acknowledge these feelings with empathy. Second characteristic of resilient people would be making meaning of hardship. Making meaning of hardship. Making sense out of it. Instead of complaining and crying out in despair. Three things that we can ask ourselves here. What is the meaning of all of this? Okay? What is the meaning of this crisis? What is the purpose of this COVID-19 crisis? What's the key message or lesson of this? Maybe the key message, the purpose, or the lesson as something that is related to this one. Maybe it's all about our financial management. Maybe for businesses and teams, we could have innovated on our products and services without the pressure. Maybe it's telling us that, wow, you really need to catch up with family time. Or it's time for us to make this work from home setup work. Or maybe it's telling you, you now have time to finish a project that you've started before, a home renovation, a general cleaning, whatsoever. Resilient people are able to survive and succeed because they have a why. And if your why is clear, you can deal with any how. Let's go to number 3. Resilient people are also able to provide solutions from thin air. Improvise solutions. Of course, exaggerated from thin air. Okay? Which only means that these people, doesn't mean that they're highly intelligent than others. It just means that they do not stop in exploring solutions. The question here is, what else can I do? What else can I do? What options do I have? Whether you have a financial struggle, whether you have an issue with your team, maybe how to motivate your teammates during this time when you don't meet. If you're a business owner and you have been having similar struggles like me, or you have concerns of not being able to go out and see your friends, whatever your concern is, what options do you have instead of getting stuck with constraints? And when you speak of what we have, resilient people also try to make do with their existing resources. And your resources are not just financial resources, your resources are the talents and skills that you have. And a lot of people that I know suddenly became overnight entrepreneurs because of this. Those who can see the opportunity started to use their talents in cooking, in baking. I know of an HR manager in one global company, and she's now baking goodies and cookies and then selling them through delivery. What do you have? You have the time. You have a lot of downtime right now. And I'm using it to reach out to more people like you, even as Saturdays. What do you have? Time, talents. What skills do you have? And you have a network of people. It's time to also ask for help. Don't be shy to ask for help, because during these times, people will give help. You know, this person is MacGyver. Regardless of the generation, or depending on the generation, you will be familiar with him. If you come from Gen X or Baby Boomer generation, if you're a Gen Y, you'd be familiar with this guy here. But regardless, we know of MacGyver as the name synonymous to improvising solutions from thin air. A paper clip can be converted into a life-saving device. What's your paper clip now, which is available around you, that you can convert to a life-saving device? And for the LJMB team, just very quickly, talking about what happened, we have to shift from face-to-face in-person training to digital marketing, social media. How are we able to reach most of you? We have 88 people in the room now. For those who don't know us, you must have seen us in LinkedIn and in Facebook. We are not experts on this one, but we have to learn in the past 6-7 weeks. In this past 6-7 weeks, we have so much activity in Facebook that possibly we've done in our 15 years of experience in LJMB. And at the time when, during March, I was really concerned that we don't have sales. All of our bookings have been postponed indefinitely. We thought of reaching out to people using webinars, using technology. We learned of several platforms. I offered free webinars in the first week of April. It was such a huge hit. 1,000 people attended across 9 classes. That we have to repeat that. I started experimenting if people will pay, if companies will pay. And yes, so far this generated decent revenue for us. Improvising solutions. And sometimes these solutions are things that you really need to discover. Nobody will tell you about it. There's no playbook, there's no manual on how to deal with this COVID crisis. Everybody's going through this as a first time. So how will you get ahead? If you have competitors in your business, how will you get ahead than others? Or maybe it's not competing, you're competing really with yourself and not with others. So as a matter of promotion, please to continue to follow us. We're also trying to develop our YouTube presence. All of our videos, video recorded webinars, we will upload here in our YouTube. You'll also follow us in LinkedIn and of course in our Facebook page. So I'd like to end with these 3 characteristics so I can quickly go through. Please stay with me. The 8 ways of framing crisis. And really, when you have nobody else to depend on, it's the mindset that's really important, because the mindset affects the heart set, affects the feelings. If you think you can't do it, the feelings will follow. The lack of confidence will make you nervous. But if you fix this at this level, then the feelings will follow and the actions will go. As a last topic, stay with me. 8 ways of framing this crisis. You know, a frame that they use or a photo or a painting. Okay? The frame adds to the beauty, the frame adds to the appreciation of a painting or an artwork. You need to also have the right framing for this crisis. Let's start with the first framing. The first framing can be God-given test. For the spiritual, religious members of the audience, you can just say that, of course, God will not give us anything that we cannot go through. You always think that God is with us during our time. Footprints in the sand. If this is a God-given test, our focus is to pass the test. Or would you like to view this as a learning opportunity? What is this COVID crisis teaching us? Right? Teaching us about our relationships, teaching us about our skill building, teaching us about the way we relate to others, teaching us about innovation and creativity. You need to have that lesson. So there's nothing you can do about the past 7 weeks. You can just move forward with that lesson. Looking at this event and not blaming yourself because it's just a random event, I'd say, well, everybody's affected. This is not my doing. So stop. If you're blaming yourself for some of the struggles that you're having at home, in your teams, stop. Everybody's affected. It's not your own doing. So it will lighten and make things more manageable. You can see it as a game for the more competitive members of our audience. Right? For those who play team sports, this can work. Looking at everything happening as a game. And going back to test, if you have a test in front of you, you need to pass it. If you're playing a game, your goal is to win. And that's what you need to do. You, your families, your teams, your companies, you have to win through the common enemy, and the common enemy is COVID-19. Winning. There are obstacles in the way. Looking at COVID as maybe you're playing in the NBA championship and the other team is COVID. How are you going to win? Let's go to gratitude. Right? And a lot of people like this because gratitude is just being thankful of what's happening around us. Some people are really by nature appreciative of a lot of things. While others will focus on what they don't have, people will say, can you just list down the things that you should be thankful for? And you can do that. You should have a long list, not just, well, thank you, I'm alive every day and my family is not getting sick. Please add more items to that list. Maybe the chance to learn new skills, maybe the chance to really reflect, maybe the chance to rest. Maybe if you got let go from your job, maybe it's a chance for you to have a better one, a nicer one that fits you more. You may not just see the blessing which is disguised. Be thankful, express gratitude. Number 6 is a hero mindset or framing. For those of you who love movies or telenovela, there's a hero, there's a protagonist, there's an antagonist or a villain. And just take a look at this as a movie. Your life is being recorded. That's like a reality TV show, and how you respond to it will show how resilient you are. And just like a hero who gets beaten at the start, who may have a lot of problems, no? At the middle of the movie, he will come victorious at the end. It's a happy ending. It's a successful ending. Opportunity. The Chinese will write the word crisis using 2 characters. This is how they write it. So why 2 characters? And we would discover that these 2 characters are actually 2 opposite ends of the pole. The Chinese would write the word crisis in Chinese characters with 1 character symbolizing danger and the other one is opportunity. Which means for every danger, there is a corresponding opportunity. Are you seeing the opportunity in all of this? My team saw the opportunity to shift our business model. It's a drastic, revolutionary way of doing things for us now. Our previous job descriptions don't matter because our trainers can't train. Our manual makers will not make manuals. Right? So we have to shift entirely and jump in this opportunity, which is why we're having this Facebook live broadcast for you. So what opportunity do you see? What chance are you seeing here? A chance to finish a book, a chance to finish a project, a chance to upscale yourself so when we go back to work, you can get an A in your performance rating. What is it? Or maybe change the way you do things in your business. like me. What's number 8? The last way of framing. Stay with me. Compassion as a way to frame this crisis. When you're all feeling hopeless and helpless and you feel you've got everything on your shoulders, you feel it's really the worst times of your life, look around you, look at social media, listen to news. There will be people whose flights right now are not, or even worse than you. And you realize that you're even in a better situation as compared to them. And it's not comparing yourselves to them for you to feel better, it's you wanting to help because others need more help or need help more than you. Compassion. I remember in St. Luke's PGC, some medical workers there posted in Facebook. You know, the way to get help now is to post in Facebook. They're running out of PPE and they need masks now. They don't have the official supply from official sources. And in a matter of days, they're getting boxes. They're getting donations from individuals and private organizations. But what touched me most is an old man who sent 3 pieces of masks. Not sure whether it's 3, but it's just a few pieces of his last few pieces of personal protective equipment, with a note that touched the doctor beneficiaries. People will help during times of crisis. Will you help so that you can make life easier or better for others? The 8 ways to frame the crisis. And because you're still with me, 78 people are still with me here in Facebook Live, I'm showing all 8. Which of these ways to frame the crisis will you use more often now? Or you might also say, you have been using this for the past few weeks. Please chat with me. Please post your comments. I'll wait for it. Please post comments. Let's look at some comments here. Okay. I like what one of our attendees here said. Okay. Adrian said, this is just a slowdown, not a lockdown. And even if we feel we're locked down, there are lockdown procedures. Do not be knocked down. Thank you, Adrian. I'll repeat that. It's a slowdown, not really a lockdown. So don't get knocked down. Okay? Sheila mentioned all 8. What about you? Waiting for you. Some of us who would say, I like. Which one do you like most? Which one will you apply more after this? And which one have you also been doing, implementing in the past? Edna May is saying, it's learning, gratitude, opportunity, and compassion. Okay? Have a key takeaway here. So let's say another crisis happens in the future, you'll be more prepared. Okay? What are other comments that people are saying? Okay, thank you for those who are appreciating this. Okay. A lot of you are saying thank you. You are most welcome. I'd also like to thank you as we're preparing to wrap up in a while, just waiting for a few responses from our friends. Compassion, gratitude, learning. Meng just said it's an opportunity for us to reinvent, oh yes, and improve ourselves. Imagine 7 weeks of slowdown or lockdown, as Adrian mentioned earlier. We have a lot of free time. We're not commuting. We're not traveling out there. 7 weeks. That could be equivalent to attending 1 or even 2 MBA classes. Okay? How can you really come out of this stronger and better persons and professionals? Okay? I like that my friend and fellow Toastmaster, fellow trainer Gege is with us. Okay? It's framing the crisis, thriving because they have framed the crisis as an opportunity. In Gege, you're also delivering webinars to different recipients, like organizations or associations. Look at that. It's really taking advantage were actually initially forced to transition to this technology-driven, digital ways of learning. I'm enjoying it, and you're liking it. And as we continue our mission of providing information and inspiration through this, then it doesn't matter how we do it. What matters is we are in this together. Okay? 8 ways to frame the crisis: God-given test, learning, randomness, game, gratitude, hero, opportunity, and compassion. My personal favorites are learning. I'm a very competitive person. I like to win in games. I'd like to see that I'm a hero, or I'm with a group of heroes, my teammates, my family members, Avengers, battling it out with Thanos, the COVID-19 virus. So with this, just hang on there. Whatever it is that you're struggling with, hang on there. But keep making progress. Don't stay stuck. Don't stay in one place. Keep making progress no matter how small it is. Use your time, use your talents, upskill yourselves. And when all of this is over, promise yourself it will be a better you. Going back to your respective teams, going back to your respective workplace, going back and facing your peers or your business. Become a better, stronger, faster, more effective, more efficient, more talented, more patient, higher EQ. You. It's been another privilege to have spread information and inspiration during this COVID crisis. Please continue to follow us at LJMB for maybe another rerun of resiliency, a most requested topic. Stay tuned for other webinars. If this is going to stay, if the lockdown or slowdown is still going to be in effect until June 15, then we'll have much more opportunities to learn together. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay at home, hang on there, but keep making progress. To the friends of LJMB, my personal network here, I saw the names of Lizelle. Okay. For the others who are my newfound friends through Facebook, okay, please continue to follow us at LJMB page. Sheila, I'll see you on Monday. We have an exclusive webinar for your company. And once again, we'll upload this webinar in our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to LJMB YouTube. A lot of you are thanking me. I should thank you in return. So hello, just acknowledging names of people. So please continue to like us in Facebook, like us as well in our LinkedIn page. Thank you for joining. We still have 77 people. We have Rizzy, Dish, we have Cristeta, we have RM, Rosemary, Rachel, Joanne, my friend Lizelle Ebdani is here, Joanne, my friend Ikay Abayon, Patricia, Pat Custodio is watching. Hello, Pat. Hey, we're doing something for MCBL anytime soon, or on, I think it's on Monday. Danny Caris, thank you. Jing, Dan, Nora, Eileen, Joy, my friend Sharon's here, Jewel, Joanne, lots of Joanne's, Clarita, Janine, Jerry from Asia Select is also watching. Christine, Danny Caris, Maria, Lori, Patrice, okay, Jason, Samson, okay, we have Mary Vic, Adele, my friend Jay, my friend Bear is also watching, Joanne Dan, Judy, Ronald, Carol, oh, our friend from insurance industry, Carol is watching, Bianca, Renz Pao, Eva Banj, our client in BCC, Edna May, very participative, giving us a lot of suggestions here. Adrian, what are your suggestions for those who are doing training and speaking engagements? Any bounce back activities and tips? I may have a lot of answers here, Adrian. Adrian, if you can connect with me through Facebook, I can send you a private message. Adrian, if you're still watching, please connect with us through Facebook, and I will respond to your question with a lengthy list of tips. Okay. Jane is also with us. Dems, Carlo de la Paz, one of our participants before. Our friend Judy, say hello to Rolly. Oh, my relative Pancho is here. Our usual fan of our webinars, Mousy, is also here. My good friend and classmate Lawrence. Thank you once again, Gege, Clarita, Joanna, I believe straight from Australia is watching. And Lots, Renz, Andy, and Rosie, and Nora. Okay? Lots more names here. Eileen, Dan. I still have 62, so just mentioning names of people who are still interacting with us. Okay? So while there's the 62 people here, you can still post your questions. Adrian, we are in the same industry. Please be inspired by what we did. The quick shift of the platform, because even if this lockdown is lifted, the new normal will really involve a lot of social distancing, so less emphasis on events. If you have less emphasis on events, then it will be very difficult to really put people together in one room for a learning experience. So I know and I hope that you're also upskilling yourselves in this new way of delivering and being acquainted with a lot of the technology tools, because one tool may work with one group but not for another. Okay? So it's both being high-tech, knowing the technology tools that you need to master, and also being high-touch, as I have been continuously learning in the past few weeks, having conducted 40 webinars. This is my 41st webinar in the past 6 weeks, and I have learned how to address audiences for one straight hour, that I just talking and keep on talking without any reactions, and that's difficult at the start. Okay? And looking at the camera so I can really make you feel I'm personally connected with you. So those are things that we trainers have to master using this new delivery platform. And my good friend from General Motors is watching, Jess Ocampo. You're very welcome, Andy Raimundo. Thank you for my newfound friends today. Please follow us at Facebook, LJMB Training. Please follow us as well at our LinkedIn page, Learning Just Big Better. And please do subscribe to our videos in YouTube, LJMB YouTube. Maraming salamat po. I know that you need to join your families for lunch. So officially ending this broadcast, Resiliency 2.0, stay strong and successful during these times of the COVID crisis. In behalf of the LJMB team, those who are with me, supporting me today, I saw the names of Eliza, Noni, Rain, Oli, perhaps Jen, Elaine are with us today as well. And in behalf of the entire Filipino nation, reminding you, let's all help flatten the curve. Stay home, stay safe. Signing out. See you in our future webinars.